Science tells us that our universe started out with an enormous explosion about 14 billion Earth years back. Since that time, the billions of galaxies, each composed of billions of stars like our Sun, are still moving outward at enormous speeds. The Big Bang event initiated the whole universe from a state of apparently zero volume and apparently infinite energy. From that instant of creation, time began. Over the following 14 billion or more years of our human timescale, that initial fireball of energy evolved to produce the vastness of the universe. At this stage in scientific discovery, we know that this vastness contains about 100 billion galaxies, each made up of thousands of millions of flaming stars like our own Sun. The picture shows just a tiny section of the universe. Evidence for the Big Bang creation resulted from observations that the universe is expanding. In addition, the galaxies that are furthest away are moving away the fastest. The Hubble telescope has revealed that the most distant galaxies are receding from us at rates directly proportional to their distance. This suggests that our universe started small and then expanded. In addition, we have detected the leftover heat from this explosion in the form of the microwave background radiation. This is the same no matter where we look in the universe. Another support for the Big Bang origin is the observed cosmic abundance of helium. In the Bible book of Psalms, King David looked up at the starry sky and proclaimed, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they display knowledge." However, David lived long before telescopes were invented, and so he could only see about 8,000 stars. Now, with the aid of amazing telescopes, such as the orbiting Hubble telescope, we can see that many dots of light that we originally thought were stars are actually whole galaxies. Here we see just one galaxy called Andromeda, with another one next to it that looks much smaller because it is much further away. The fact that galaxies look hazy in our telescopes is because they are far away. In this one galaxy, we are actually looking at about 250 billion stars like our Sun. We cannot see the whole of our own galaxy because we are in it. However, we know that ours is a spiral galaxy, rather like this galaxy called M81. It is 12 million light years away from us in the Ursa Major constellation. We call our galaxy the Milky Way, and it contains about 250 billion stars, like our Sun. Our Earth and Sun are situated near the edge of our galaxy, as indicated by the marker on the picture. If we look with our powerful telescopes at stars on the other side of our own galaxy, we find that they are about 100,000 light years away. In other words, light from stars on the other side of our galaxy has been hurtling through space towards us for 100,000 Earth years. But we may ask, how reliable are various scientific estimates of distances to faraway galaxies? Initially, astronomers had to use indirect methods for estimating distances to other galaxies, and various assumptions had to be made, such as that the faintness of a light source is a measure of its distance away from us. Physics has demonstrated that a doubling of the distance reduces brightness by a factor of 4. Such techniques have been used to estimate distances of stars up to 25,000 light years away. Then, in 1929, Edwin Hubble discovered that the redshift in light coming from distant galaxies is proportional to their distance. Calculations based on this observation have been used to obtain approximate distances to galaxies up to some 12 billion light years away. However, these measurements always relied on certain assumptions. The next big advance came with the use of radio telescopes. Radio astronomers have now measured a distance of 23.5 million light years to a galaxy they have called NGC 4258. One radio astronomer pointed out that ours is a direct measurement using geometry and is independent of all other methods of determining cosmic distances. For astronomers, this measurement is like a golden meter stick in a glass case. These refinements, enabled by radio astronomy, have caused adjustments to previous calculations of very distant galaxies. For instance, prior to the radio astronomy measurements of NGC's distance, other measurement techniques suggested this galaxy was between 27 and 29 million light years away. The updated measurement gives a slightly smaller distance of 23.5 million light years. These sorts of refinements are bound to happen each time astronomical techniques are improved. However, although this more accurate measurement shows that previous ones were overestimates, the fact remains that far-off galaxies are many billions of light years away. The nearest star to our own Sun is called Alpha Centauri, and it is 4.37 light years away. This means it is over 40 trillion kilometers away. Even with light traveling at 300,000 kilometers each second, it still takes over 4 Earth years for light to reach us from this nearest star. We can start to realize that just to fit 250 billion stars into our own Milky Way galaxy has to take up an enormous space. Then consider that there are normally hundreds of thousands of light years between galaxies and at least 100 billion galaxies. In other words, even if some of our estimates of distance are a bit out, the universe is still enormous and has a radius measured in billions of light years. As we look at light reaching our telescopes from distant galaxies, we are actually looking billions of years back into the history of the universe. The current scientific consensus is that the distances to the furthest galaxies and the speed that they are traveling away from us suggests that the Big Bang occurred sometime between 13.7 and 15 billion years ago. We need to ask, how does the size of the universe relate to its age? Firstly, we must accept that a light year is the distance light travels in 1 Earth year. This is an enormous distance because light travels through the vacuum of space at about 300,000 kilometers each second. This means that light travels 9.5 trillion kilometers in 1 Earth year. Light reaching our telescopes from galaxies on the outer edge of the visible universe has been hurtling through space at 300,000 kilometers per second for about 12 billion Earth years. We are, in fact, looking 12 billion years into the past. This obviously suggests that our universe is at least 12 billion years old. Some people believe that the first book of the Bible says that our Earth was created about 6,000 years back. They try to get around the scientific evidence for our universe being billions of years old by proposing that light may have traveled faster in the early universe. Therefore, they suggest that the universe may seem to be much older than it actually is. However, simple mathematics tells us that in order to shrink a 12 billion year old universe to 6,000 years, we would need to speed up light by 2 million times. However, in fact, it is impossible for the speed of light in a vacuum to alter. This is because the speed is fundamental to the whole of physics. If the speed was even slightly changed, then our universe could not exist. The great Jewish thinker Albert Einstein introduced the world to our atomic age. Amongst other things, he derived the formula E equals mc squared. This says that energy, E, is equivalent to the mass of an object, m, times the speed of light squared, c squared. This relationship between mass, energy, and the speed of light has been demonstrated by the atomic bomb. If the speed of light were even slightly changed, then these relationships would collapse and our universe could not exist. In other words, since the speed of light in a vacuum is constant, we can say that the 1 + 1 = 2 of astronomy is that the distance to faraway galaxies plus speed of light equals ancient universe. Clearly, a belief in the creation of the universe a mere 6,000 years ago cannot be reconciled with the overwhelming evidence from scientific discoveries. It is science that is greatly expanding the words of Psalm 19 in the Bible. The voice of God speaking to us from creation is telling us that we live in a very ancient universe. Another fascinating scientific discovery is what scientists have called the inflation period. The mathematics of physics and the Big Bang suggest that within the first microsecond after the initial explosion, the universe expanded far faster than the speed of light. This rapid expansion is impossible according to the laws of physics operating in our universe today. It compels us to suggest that the Big Bang event was initially started and controlled by transcendent laws. In other words, by laws that existed before our universe came into existence. In addition, the second law of thermodynamics states that ordered systems always move towards greater disorder. Therefore, if we go back in time towards the Big Bang, the universe becomes more and more ordered and precise. The actual Big Bang event had to be incredibly precise and fine-tuned, otherwise we would not be here. It is possible that the scientific understanding of the inflation period may change in the future as more information comes to light. However, we are at present forced to seriously suggest the reality of this early rapid inflation. This inflation event and the Big Bang creation both had to be initiated and controlled by laws that existed before these events actually occurred. We call these laws transcendent laws. They existed before time came into existence, and therefore we can call transcendent laws the laws of the timeless dimension. Science tells us that time only began at the Big Bang. Time is a reality in our human experience and has been the subject of many famous books such as Stephen Hawking's A Brief History of Time. We find it hard to visualize existence in a timeless dimension, and yet science accepts that a timeless dimension exists. How can we relate this to revelations in the Bible? Well, God is described as being transcendent and timeless. He is described as the one who exists from timelessness to timelessness, or eternity to eternity. He is described as existing in the eternal now. He revealed himself to Moses as the I Am, or the one who is eternally present. We talk of the past, the present, and the future. God is revealed as the one who exists in the past, he exists in the present, and he exists in the future. He says, I am in the past, I am in the present, and I am in the future. His independence from time means that he can move to any point in our time reality instantaneously, and he is aware of every event in the universe simultaneously. Clearly, both science and biblical revelation tell us that our universe, that is locked into time, nevertheless originated from the timeless dimension. Furthermore, our studies of the Big Bang and the inflation period force us to accept that there were transcendent laws in operation before the universe came into existence. This means that the timeless dimension has laws. We need to ask ourselves whether those timeless dimension laws still influence events taking place in our time-locked universe. Before we look further into the influence of the timeless dimension on events in our universe, we can briefly consider another question that people often ask. Many ask why this universe had to be so big. To understand this, we need to realize that the Big Bang creation was an incredibly hot event. As the universe expanded, it slowly cooled off. However, it has been calculated that for the average temperature of space to cool enough for mankind to exist, it would have taken about 15 billion years. In other words, the universe had to expand at its incredibly fast rate for about 15 billion years before a planet such as ours could support life. This meant that the universe had to become the enormous size that it is. Even if our planet is the only one with life such as mankind, we would have had to be in a universe as enormous as it is.